Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast. It's Bears Week, and once again, we have a very special guest returning from south of the border. It's the one and only Joey Christopoulos. Joey, thanks for coming on the show again.
Tay and Ren, I wish I could be here on better circumstances, but
Yep.
I don't know if you can smell the melting metal probably in the air right now. That's my Chicago Bears car on fire right behind me here. So I'm excited to have you here. I told you before the show I'm having a cocktail during the show. I love seeing you guys, but I'll try best I can to not scream into the microphone.
I think Packers okay. Bears definitely deserves cocktails for so many different reasons, but yeah.
Wait, we're playing the Packers this week?
Yeah,
I haven't been paying attention. There's so much other BS going on around here.
Well, it's Bears week, man.
Well, this Joey, this wasn't like exactly how I thought things were going to go when we wanted to have you on the show at some point, you're
lying.
Bears week.
You knew this was going to happen.
No. Like, I mean, the Bears collapse here. It has been the focus in week 11. And it's a bit like a layered onion, so to speak. I mean, we definitely want to hear all about the issues going on down there in Chicago. But first, let's get some pleasantries out of the way. How are you? How have you been otherwise? And then I guess tell the audience quick where you're from and what you're doing.
Yeah. So, thanks, Tay. Love coming on to the show. Highly recommend anyone that's tuning in for the first time to stick with Tay and Ren. Absolutely fantastic, entertaining show. Love coming on with you guys. I'm Joey Christopoulos. I'm originally from Chicago. I just moved back here recently, so I'm back in the city, working for a sports media company called CHGO Sports down in the Loop. Their parent company is All City Network. So I cover the Chicago Bears. I talk a little Chicago Cubs for that company, and then I also host the All Big Ten podcast presented by Coors Light on the All City Network twice a week, talking Wisconsin Badgers football, talking everything Big Ten too as well. So, man, life is good. Last time I was on, it was the summertime when hopes were high. I can't really honestly remember an offseason that could have gone better for the Chicago Bears. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a lot of context and a lot of history to this, but the Chicago Bears are in the exact same place they were in 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's the same old stuff over and over again. We play our hated rival this week. So it's been a crazy week. Our offensive coordinator got fired today. Everyone saw that coming, but I mean, man, holy cow, it's really bad here. And so I'm feeling it today, feeling a little loose, feeling a little edgy, but it's good. I'm good personally.
And it's great to see. It really is, regardless of all these extracurriculars, Packer Bear Week, all that fun stuff. We enjoy it, and it's great to see you. This is what, again, sports rivalries, Bears Packers. This is what it's all about, man. You look back, Joey, a couple short weeks ago. Mm-hmm. The Bears are 4-2.
Ooh, let's go back to that time.
Yes, they're scoring. They're averaging 30 plus points a game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final play of the game in Washington, we've got some extracurriculars to which, a Bears defender gets called out and he gets back. I think he's the man who tips the ball. And it seems like that tip has tipped the Bears fandom into this recess of just everything going the wrong way. Ever since the Hail Mary, it's gone absolutely the wrong direction. So how you been feeling since that? How'd you feel at the time? Bring us back to that moment and tell us a little bit of what's transpired forward that has gotten this team, to a point where I don't think they recovered from that moment.
Yeah. So everything that you said is 100% correct. I want to make a tiny minor correction to what you said, Ren, is that here's the difference. The Chicago Bears coaching staff, organization, and team did not recover from that Hail Mary. Chicago Bears fans, I can promise you, we have seen worse. Okay. We have lived through the double doink. We have lived through Jay Cutler hurting his knee, and all of a sudden Caleb Haney has to come in to send us to the Super Bowl against the Packers. We've had opportunities to win and get in playoff games, and Chris Conte blows a coverage, or all of a sudden we give up a 50 burger to the Philadelphia Eagles and don't get into the playoffs. So trust me, man, I've seen bigger blunders in my lifetime. And then as a Bears fan, to be honest with you, I walked out of that game being like, look, we had no business winning that game. The Bears were terrible for 3.5 quarters. I was happy that our quarterback came down, and legitimately Caleb Williams came down and put them ahead and gave us an opportunity to win the game. But look, if you lose on a Hail Mary, guys, I hope that it never happens to you. But if it does happen to you once, you got to say to yourself, it ain't never happening again. I mean, honestly, like I don't think I'm ever in my lifetime going to see a play like that with those type of circumstances. So that being said, I think the fan base was really excited to get kind of pissed off and have a little bit of a bounce back. And unfortunately, the last 2 weeks, that's been the exact opposite. We've only scored 12 points offensively. Defensively, we've had some injuries. I get it, but you can really tell in some of like the fit assignment in the run game, some of the tackling aspects that like there is an element of, I don't want to say that they've quit, but there is an element of they've loosened their grip on the rope 100% these last 2 weeks. None more clear than losing to the New England Patriots 19-3.
At home.
I mean, honestly, at home. And we're averaging something like 230 team offensive yards the last couple of weeks, like something just really putrid. So, I mean, look, the fandom has been kicked in the groin now. I mean, we're down, but after that Hail Mary, I will say that we were ready to bounce back. Unfortunately, the team, most specifically the head coach, was not ready to bounce back. And you could tell throughout the week that he waited until Wednesday to tell Tyreek Stevenson that he was going to be benched the following week. After that game against the Cardinals, Caleb Williams, our 22-year-old rookie quarterback, is like, I think we spent too much time ruminating over the mistakes instead of turning the page. So I think it had more to do with the coaching staff, the players' response to it than the fans. I think the fans were ready to roll. And now we're sitting up the track once again, the Chicago Bears, 4th place in the NFC North.
Yep. Well, yeah, I think that explanation makes sense. And as a Bears fan, maybe that's what you have to do, is say that they're not rebounding from that, the coaching staff, the players that are there or whatever. But for the last couple weeks, this has been kind of leading up to this point in the last couple days, right? You heard a lot of grumbling, a lot of noise from the media, and potentially like is Matt going to change the play caller? And that was a couple weeks ago, I think. But today, or was it today? Yeah, this morning. Waldron gets axed for Thomas Brown, who kind of came from the same area. They came from the same threads. And I guess, is this a Band-Aid? Like, do you have confidence in Thomas Brown? Is this a scapegoat issue? Like, how do you view this firing? As a fan, to say, no, is this going to fix the problem, or is this just a Band-Aid here and we're going to see even worse stuff down the line?
Well, I love, I do subscribe to the adage that it can't get any worse than here. I mean, we are at the bottom, we are in the basement, and honestly, we are kind of trying to dig down into the water pipes underneath the basement right now of the limbo of how low you can go. So from that aspect, I am curious to see how it goes. But you're right, Tay. This is a sacrificial lamb. We knew last offseason there was many Bears fans, and I'm included, that I didn't think Matt Eberflus was it. I don't think he's the guy. You walk into this year and you consistently see stuff that, look, I just try and be fair about it. I don't care that he gets a haircut and gets a cool beard. I don't care that no one had ever really heard of him before. I'm just looking for examples in games where you can point to whether this guy is a good head coach or not. And each and every single year, the Chicago Bears are slow to start their season. They're slow to start their games. They're slow to make decisions on challenges. They use their timeouts poorly. And now Matt Eberflus today fires his 8th coach in 2.5 years as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. He has now fired 8 guys. Jeez. I'm telling you guys, the call is coming from inside the house. His name is Matt Eberflus. 2 of the guys on that staff, by the way, I don't even want to get into. Just Google who the 8 coaches are, and 2 of them are for non-football reasons that, if you look into it a little bit, are just not cool, not good guys.
Okay.
Just hired 2. Yes, exactly, Ren. Not good guys.
Know.
So at some point, think about this as any business, any different workplace that you get in. At some point, the manager has to be culpable and responsible. The Chicago Bears don't do that. So right now, what they're trying to do is just fire the offensive coordinator, who has been abjectly horrible, who is perhaps either ruining or trying to break our rookie quarterback right now, and just see if you can get back to baseline. And for the Chicago Bears, I think it's just about getting through the season right now. Again, every single week is a referendum. Dude, I mean, what could happen next? I mean, the Packers are going to pound us this week. Do we fire him after the Lions game and Thanksgiving? I don't know, but Band-Aid, Tay, Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, Joey. What if, for some reason, Thomas Brown works? His one, big moment was last year. He almost beats the Packers when he's in Carolina.
And Bryce Young looked good, threw for over 300 yards, right? Am I getting that wrong?
You are not getting that wrong. The Packers, get out of there with a Anders Carlson, 30-some yard field goal to win it 33-30. But the reality is Joe Barry was there. But let's say the Bears went on a run, right? The Bears go on a run, and they just missed the playoffs, but it keeps Matt Eberflus in-house. Would you prefer to see that, or let's move forward? Because I think this organization, I mean, we talk about Caleb Williams, who walked into one of the best, places to be a starting rookie quarterback with the offensive talent they had, minus the O-line, not good. Mm-hmm. And it has some injuries there as well. I think they got 40% of the starting O-line left at this point. How are you feeling? Would you rather just say, you know what? Again, Tay's talking about Band-Aids. Pull the Band-Aid off. Let's get Eberflus out of town. Let's get somebody who can actually manage a football team and do this. Or, hey, look good enough, and maybe you're stuck with it another year.
I'm trying to wrap my head around scenarios. I never say never to anything. If I'm down 5 runs with 2 outs, I still think I can come back and win the game, that type of stuff. But, man, I can't tell you any scenario where I am going to be on Team Flus moving forward. They could win every single game the rest of the year and win a playoff game. I still think I'm out on this guy. A lot of it was the examples that I've already provided. But on top of that, you just have to ask yourself the question of, one, hey, I'm 40 years old, by the way. And you know what? I have boundaries in life, Ren. I have boundaries in life, Tay. And when someone treats me poorly all year round and then takes me out to a nice dinner, I all of a sudden don't think that everything's going to be okay moving forward. That is the Matt Eberflus relationship right now with the Chicago Bears. And Ren, the most important one to keep in mind is that, in my opinion, as a defensive-minded coach and as the head coach of the team, I believe that Eberflus has been trying to drill first into the head of Justin Fields and now into the head of Caleb Williams, is that no matter what you do on every single play, you better not make a mistake. You better not turn the ball over. You better not throw an interception. And I think in many different ways, subconsciously or even consciously in practice, I think he is drilling into this kid's brain to be risk averse. Do not let it rip. Do not take chances. You just trust the defense. You just trust us, and we're going to win games for you. And I'm telling you that, when we talk a lot about Justin Fields holding on the ball for too long, now we're talking about Caleb Williams holding on to the ball for too long. Of course, these are all bridges that quarterbacks have to cross. But, man, at some point, you also have to maybe ask yourself a little bit, is the head coach trying to coach the aggressive, natural, instinctual potential and talent out of a young quarterback right now? And there's no scenario where I think moving forward that's going to be a great idea. And also, having said that, I can't trust Matt Eberflus to hire people. I'm sorry, he's a bad hire. He's a bad hire evaluator. And I ain't buying it. There's people in this town that want to say, well, Matt Eberflus develops players. Well, no offense, name me one player that Ryan Poles has drafted that's been a Pro Bowler so far in his 2.5 years. I'll hang up and listen. The answer is 0. Nobody yet. So I get it. We're developing starters, but we're not developing stars. It's micro, macro. He doesn't pass any smell test to me, and I can't see a world, even if we go to the playoffs, where I would want Matt Eberflus to come back.
Wow.
And isn't that also a little bit of a Poles problem? He knew
1,000%.
He knew coming into the draft this year, he's going to have Caleb. He's going to have this whole new ordeal. He's got a offense built to be successful. To what degree, who knows? And he sticks with a guy who has not been successful in Chicago, just to put some words on this young kid who we talked about it right around your 40th birthday, and this kid's going to need some time, just like Aaron Rodgers did. It takes time for these guys to develop. They're not successful generally year one where they make the playoffs. I think Poles missed the boat there and said, you know what, we just need to start fresh. I'm going to bring in this brand new quarterback, number 1 overall pick, new coaching staff, and we're going to go. And I think he missed the boat on that, man. I really do.
Yeah, and if I can, I'm just going to kind of take you guys into the weeds just a little bit on what's going on with the structure with the Chicago Bears and how it relates to Ryan Poles. And honestly, Packers fans, just hang with me for a second, because if you want to ask yourself, are the Chicago Bears coming anytime soon? This may make you very, very happy. So the first thing with Ryan Poles is, look, I think he's done some good things, and I want to be optimistic about Ryan Poles. And in my opinion, I think he probably deserves another shot at hiring another head coach. Having said that, he's had 12 picks over his last 3 drafts in the first 4 rounds. He's taken 2 offensive linemen. One of the offensive linemen he drafted hurt and started on the injured list. The other one is Darnell Wright, who's currently hurt, but let's see what happens. If you roll the clocks back to the Ryan Pace era, in his 3rd year as Ryan Pace's general manager, his offensive line was Charles Leno, 5th-round pick, James Daniels, 2nd-round pick, who got money from the Steelers. The center was Cody Whitehair, 2nd-round pick, made a Pro Bowl. Kyle Long inherited a Pro Bowl player, and Bobby Massey, free agent signing. If you look at what Ryan Poles has done in his 3rd crack at it with the offensive line right now, it is egregious, because the Chicago Bears are going to be looking for 4 new offensive linemen at least in the offseason. And this is the arrogance and problem with Ryan Poles. Is, as a former offensive lineman, I think he's trying to win on the margins at one of the most important positions you could possibly have in the NFL. And it is driving me absolutely nuts, where he thinks he's smarter than the room, and he can find these guys like Coleman Shelton for $3 million, or draft somebody in the 6th and 7th round and plug and play and think it's going to work. It's a thing. It's a structure and building idea that's built in reverse. And here's the big one, is that, so Ryan Poles, we have to keep in mind when we talk about the McCaskies and the Chicago Bears as an organization, okay? The Bears and the McCaskey family, they're not football people, okay? And they've been outsourcing a lot of their, let's just say, hiring recommendations over the last 8 or 10 years or so. And they most recently, in this last hiring cycle, tried to get Trace Armstrong to become the president of football operations in Chicago. Former Chicago Bear, now runs a very powerful NFL agency where he represents a lot of clients in the NFL. I think Trace Armstrong said no to that job, but he also said, you know what? I'm going to help you out, Chicago Bears, and I'm going to start giving you some recommendations on some hires. So start going down the list. Ryan Poles, client of Trace Armstrong. Luke Getsy, client of Trace Armstrong. Matt Eberflus, client of Trace Armstrong. Shane Waldron, client of Trace Armstrong. And guess who the Chicago Bears fans want now? Ben Johnson, client of Trace Armstrong. So when it comes to Ryan Poles, in my opinion, my fear is that he has guardrails and parameters that are leveraged by a relationship that exists outside of Chicago Bears football in the franchise and the organization. So when you talk about canvassing and spreading out a wide net to say, who can the Bears get next? I think those options are more limited based on some of the relationships that already are leveraged within the organization. And I can already see it coming. Chicago Bears give Ben Johnson $15 million a year, offensive flavor of the week, who's done well in Detroit. But guess what? We don't have their offensive line. We don't have Jahmyr Gibbs. And this is all where it's heading right now. And I think that's what puts this organization in such peril and why I'm drinking during the show right now.
That's great stuff, Joe. I mean, you probably have a lot of that right. And from the Packers fans' perspective, this is like watching a house fire and, not calling the fire department. And
it's the couple that fights every single night, and you guys are living a happy, beautiful nuclear family home, and every single night the cops are coming over and banging on the Bears' door, being like, "What's the deal?"
Yeah, and then you're like, "No, everything's fine. We'll take care of this next year."
Where games won and lost?
Yeah.
Trenches.
In the trenches.
And
It's
what
boring.
what do the Green Bay Packers do well? Oh, they do the O-line real well.
Yeah.
Every
yeah,
year,
yeah.
somebody,
Depth.
everybody, whether it's
Rasheed-
BJ
Rasheed
Raji
Wallace-
or Balaga, yeah.
Rasheed Wallace is a left tackle who's a 7th-round pick, my guy, and he's damn good. He's better in pass pro than the run game, but he's real good. So
Joey, I've seen a lot of like they're wasting Caleb Williams. Like we're only halfway through the season, but we're wasting Bears are wasting Caleb Williams. Who do you think is wasting Caleb Williams? Is it the players now who are kind of speaking out, or like are they giving up, or is this like coaching, or like it goes even further down? Is it the ownership that's wasting Caleb Williams? And do you subscribe to that kind of like descriptive, I guess, analysis?
Yeah, I mean, I hear where everyone's coming from. I mean, look, it's all phraseology. We're talking semantics here, so I'm probably in agreement. I'm using more of the phrasing of like the Chicago Bears, can they break Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
And they 1,000% can. I mean, I want to believe in his talent. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback, and I'm hoping to do shows with the three of us where we're like Jordan Love versus Caleb Williams. Final score 31-28. You pick your side, I pick my side. We all have fun. But I'm telling you, man, that future is not guaranteed. The way things are going right now, that is not guaranteed. Confidence is a real thing. Momentum is a real thing. I said it before the show. I mean, there is a scenario where if this keeps going right now, I don't want to get ahead of myself. This is a little too hot to handle, but like, could Caleb Williams ask for a trade in 18 months if this isn't going in the direction that he wants to? Look, and the weird part about it too is with the Matt Eberflus thing. Week 3 of the season, we finally found out that there was something called a leadership council, where it wasn't just the captains, but these players were created this leadership council on their own and started going to the coaching staff, namely Shane Waldron, and asking them to coach them harder. And that was red flag 1 on the season. Red flag 2 on the season is that, in the advent of our times in 2024, a lot of our players currently have podcasts and pursuits that stretch beyond football. And currently the company that I work for, CHGO Sports, has the 85, which is the Cole Kmet podcast. And it's a great podcast. And Cole Kmet is actually an amazing dude. But, Kevin Byard has one. DJ Moore does a lot of stuff. Jalen Johnson. And you can just kind of tell with these players that it ain't going Caleb Williams' way. They're definitely directing a lot of this ire at the coaching staff, the structure, what's going on. I mean, there's people being like, does everyone still have buy-in with the coach? And people aren't actually, they're not directly answering that as a definitive yes right now. There's a lot of that stuff going on. I mean, I'm the thing that makes me so mad is all I want to do with this season. And remember when I was on in the summer with you guys, I was like, you know what? We're going to have peaks and valleys with Caleb Williams. One week he's going to look great. Another week he's going to look bad. So far that take has been pretty spot on. But for the life of me, dude, I can't tell you where Caleb Williams is going to end up because of all this peripheral cacophonic mess that the Chicago Bears have created around that situation. So how do we cut through the noise and actually figure out whether this kid is a franchise quarterback or not? I can't give you a definitive answer on that. And anyone that wants to give you a definitive answer on that, I don't think is paying enough attention to everything, the chaos that's going around at Halas Hall right now.
I think you're right. I think I wanted to ask you that question. Like, how do you think halfway through the season, what's your evaluation on Caleb Williams? But I think you're right. You're exactly right. There's too much other stuff going on that hampers that.
Well, and if I can just really,
a lot of noise, Joey.
And if I can just really quickly, rolling forward towards the Packers game, just easy stuff for Packers fans to lock into for this game is that Caleb Williams, for the most part, what I like about him a lot is he's trying to be a pocket passer. He's sitting in the pocket, and you can see him literally going 1, 2, 3 all over the board. I am enjoying seeing that, but man, he's been wildly inaccurate downfield. He's become more inaccurate intermediate in the last couple of weeks, which has become a bit more glaring. And again, there has been moments and opportunities for the opposition to take him down because he has been holding onto the ball a little bit too long. Some of it has been tethered to the timing with the receivers, JT O'Sullivan, Tim Jenkins, whoever you want to follow. There's literally moments where he's getting to the back of his hitch and nobody's even turned around yet. So same page stuff, miscommunication. We've been sacked 38 times on the year, which right now is going to exceed the numbers that Jay Cutler even saw. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
9 last week, brutal, man.
it's dark. It's dark. So I mean, from a Packers perspective, I would like to see, if you're a Packers fan, I would hope that you would think that you'd maybe get a couple interceptions off of Caleb, which means that he's ripping it down the field. But mostly the inaccuracy has been a big issue with the rookie quarterback so far.
Well, they're hoping a little bit more run game, a little bit more even potentially orbit motion things with him to get things out of, the normal way it's been going. And Thomas Brown, we'll see. You brought up DJ. I know DJ seemed to quit last week. Potentially there's some issues there. We got veteran issues. We talked about, hey, all the weird things going to Chicago with, who's on Poles' page with who they hire, who they don't. It's good not to have an owner. Just saying. With that said, with all these things, we hear this. Some of the veterans might want Tyson Bagent. Do you think that's true, or that's more media spin because things are kind of spinning out of control?
You know what? Look, we're going to learn more about it as we move along. So in my opinion, right, I think that there were some people, and I talked to some smart people over the summer, like former Bears personnel director Josh Lucas, who worked underneath Ryan Pace, and he said, he had the adage, and you can have an interesting debate, that he thought players like Caleb should sit for a year. You guys have heard this before. You guys have maybe done this before. And we talked about a little bit that, it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to have Caleb sit, learn the NFL game. He's at this Cortex QB school. He's been working with that Tom Brady signs off on, that Brock Purdy went to, and they really work on like the elasticity of the shoulder, so you can get back to your release. It's a bunch of other stuff. So he might be mechanically working through some stuff right now. It definitely looks like Daniel Jeremiah said today that looks like he's guiding the ball. And from a dude who played baseball for a bunch of years, I 1,000% think that's what's happening with Caleb Williams. We're like, Caleb's also like, look, the last thing I want to do is I'm going to leave it short, so I'm going to leave it long. So he's inaccurate because he's just trying not to make a mistake. Like, I get all that other kinds of stuff. But for me personally, the ketchup is out of the bottle. You can't sit this dude down now. Of course, at the end of these games when they're getting their head kicked in, maybe pull him with the last couple of drives where I think, what was it, the Arizona Cardinals game? He got sacked 3 of his final 5 snaps when they're down 29-9. It's like, Matt Eberflus, read the room, dude. Think about your future and stop coaching for your job and get that kid out of there for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so from the veterans' perspective, some people are trying to spin it as, this is so bad. What if we had Bagent start for a game or two just to have Caleb clear his head and do a bit of a reset with Thomas Brown? Again, I understand the version of that spin. But in my opinion, I would keep trying to play the kid. And dude, I don't have a great answer for it, to be honest with you, because I'm terrified that this coaching staff may actually ruin and break Caleb Williams, but I think benching him is just as bad. So, I mean, pick your poison, man. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to drink Drano or do you want to drink rat poison? Like, what can I get you? This is the bartender.
Say take the live bullets, give him the experience, and get him a new coaching staff entirely next year. That would be the piece for him. I think he's a talented guy. 100%. I just don't think Eberflus was ever going to be the guy, and clearly he's not good at making decisions. We talk about Monday. He's in a Bears presser, and he can't even give anybody in the media a real, decision. He seems whiffle-waffy, just weak. I mean, like, that's not a leader right there. Just like, well, we might not. That's
give me 24 hours while our lawyers figure out how to buy out the last 2 years of Shane Waldron's contract.
You're the leader of a football team, and you're gonna lead the media with that. That's not a good look. Not a good look.
No, he's drowning right now, dude. He's drowning. Yeah. He's doing all that coach speak of, well, we begin the process and then we do an evaluation and we're in the middle of the process, and when we're done with process and our evaluation, then we make a decision. Like, he's saying stuff like that, dude. Like, there's it's super, super bad. Hey, can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So one, like, obviously, I think your guys' run game and I think your offense right now terrifies me heading into this game. And typically, man, I love getting up for these games. I love Bears Packers. I know you guys have been beating our heads in for years and years, but there's something really special about it that I really enjoy. And I've been distracted all week. I haven't even like thought about the Packers once, honestly, almost like until this conversation. And for me personally, it's still my favorite rivalry of my fandom. So I will ask you guys this question. What is your top 5 rivalry fandoms? Where do the Bears still rank? Do the Bears even rank in your top 5 favorite rivalries? No, be honest. I'm not going to be offended. I'm just curious. Like, do we even register? Do we even register with you guys anymore?
It was funny, Joey. I was going to ask you if what's happening with the Bears, like the expectations are up here before the season starts, and then now it's just like boom, down on the ground again. I was like, hey, what does that do for you as a fan with this rivalry? Because it is a historic rivalry, the longest one in NFL football. And honestly, like for us, I mean, I'm sorry, but it does feel good when the Bears falter and stumble. I mean, it just does, 100%. Right? Like everyone in the division, like right, like the Lions, like they whooped our butts last game. They're great. They're better than us. About time. And so we've been sitting on the throne for a long, long time. So my rivalries sit in the NFC North still. At least the top 3. I love it. I love the Bears. It's probably 3 maybe. I like to hate the Vikings, just like Ren's about to say. I bet the Vikings, we love to hate them. No matter what, if they're down and out, if they're 0-17 for a year, I'm still gonna hate them as much as I do right now. The Bears, though, I have a little more respect for, and I'm not going to get super hateful on them. If you guys go 0-17, the Lions, it's like, oh yeah, good job, Lions. Like you had a couple years in, like you'll be back to your normal self soon enough.
I was secretly like happy for them because there's been so much pain.
We're all secretly happy, but in 2 years it won't be. So I'm about done with them. I'll tell you that.
But yeah, I have some rivalries, outside of the NFC, I guess. Like, I don't like the Broncos, and I don't like the Raiders. So there's
what about sports though? What about sports in general? What about sports in general? Where did
Joey?
Honestly, I'm more NFL guy. Okay. I don't do. Ren does more of the baseball. I'm a fair weather fan when it comes to basketball. Even college, when the Badgers, do well and have great games, I'll start to watch. So I'm definitely a homer with Wisconsin with other sports, but it's NFL or bust for me. I get all in with that, and then obviously, in my own conference division is where my rivalries usually lie.
Yeah.
I'll do mine real quick so I don't waste too much time, but. As far as the NFL rivalries go, I mean, I hate the Vikes. I love their empty trophy case. I love, you control them, their skullness. It's stupid. Bears are number 2, but guess what? George Halas floated the Green Bay Packers. He made this rivalry survive. I love and respect the rivalry. It's so old. It's the oldest rivalry. There's a lot of, true fandom to it. It's what makes sports great. Packers Bears is classic, man. I mean, you don't get much better than that. I could get teary about it. I could call you Joey Swiderski. I mean, you might be Joey Christopoulos, but you get into it. So that's 1, 2. The Lions, they're an afterthought. I really don't care. I hate the Niners with a passion. I hate the Eagles with a passion, and I hate the Cowboys. It's always going to be NFC. Sure. I mean, I could throw in a 6 team like the Patriots when they're good for years, but it's really, it'll get into the Vikes and obviously the Bears, and then teams like the Lions and the Niners. Those are teams I truly hate. But again, there'll always be that respect, knowing the Halas Lombardi connection, all that importance to what makes the NFL truly the game it is today. And as a result, there'll always be a little love for the Bears. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this earlier today. I think my top 5 of my favorite sports hate rivalries still, my top 5 is number 1 is Green Bay Packers. Number 2, St. Louis Cardinals. Number 3, the Detroit Red Wings, still to this day. Detroit Red Wings, don't like them. Number 4, I think, is the Detroit Pistons. And then I think number 5, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins.
Okay. Yeah, you're staying close. Staying close.
And I
yeah,
would
well,
say,
they're
you know,
always regional. It's always regional.
Yep.
Teams that you butt heads the most with, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's always going to be that.
yeah, if I went outside of, you know, the NFL, it's obviously the Cubs. I mean that you know, the I-94 rivalry, it's that.
There we go. Now
You
we're
know,
talking.
You know,
Now you're
that's
bringing me
what it's all
back to
about.
life. Here we go. Yes.
I mean, I love to hate the Cubs, and I love when the Brewers moved to the National League. It was fantastic, and it's been a great thing since. I mean, we've had so many good games. Ramirez changing teams. There's been so many, and that's just scratching the surface. But there's been so much to it in the last 20-some years. Love it. Don't like the Cardinals either. Hate the Cardinals. Love beating the Cardinals. When it comes to that, you know, in the NBA, you know, the Bucks just need to play better. It comes down to that. They can beat anybody if they want to. They got a bad head coach, and we don't have a hockey team. So, you know, the Blackhawks control the market. You know, I'd like to know hockey. I really don't as a result, but I know baseball and football and college football the best, and NFL is my first passion. Always be that.
The Minnesota one's interesting because now I'm thinking about it. Right, it's like, you know, Favre turncoat.
Oh,
Greg Jennings turncoat. Aaron Jones, not his fault, but you know what I mean. There's been a lot of
Ryan Longwell.
A lot of switch over there. That's interesting.
There's only Applebee's in Green Bay. Yeah,
a lot of scraps.
Yeah, they take the scraps. They love the
scraps.
Attaboy,
Tay. There you go.
They love the scraps.
They do.
Well, I mean,
arrows.
Chicago has been known to take some scraps from the Packers too. So
Edgar Bennett,
Lucas Patrick.
Oh my God! Another great Ryan Poles pick, by the way.
They could use some Lucas Patrick right now.
I mean, he probably is an upgrade over Coleman Shelton, and man, we did not enjoy his presence last year on the team, and man, oh man, it's really tough. It's really tough when you think that like the one thing that Ryan Poles is supposed to be good at, his expertise, just so happens to be his worst.
Well, speaking of regionally, you know, the NFC North, Joey, your team's got to play everyone yet. Like, we're not even and realistically, you're going to get probably beat by, you know, all of us twice, right? Like,
well, yeah, we play all six division games, Seattle at home, at San Francisco.
That's it.
Brutal.
Here we go.
Oh, that's rough. That is rough. That's rough. So do you
and we don't have tiebreakers with Arizona. We don't have tiebreakers with Washington anymore. You know what I mean?
Nope. I mean, are you guys picking first in Green Bay next year?
No, I mean, there's a lot.
You stand on Tate's couch or what?
Is the draft in Green Bay next year?
Yeah,
it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, you got to get that on your schedule.
The NFL. I'm telling my wife, the NFL drafts in Green Bay next year.
Yeah,
let's go. I don't know. I think we'd have fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. No. I now that I know that it's there, I think that would be awesome. I think that would be great. I've wanted to go to an NFL draft for a while. Living on the West Coast wasn't always easy because they've been in Indianapolis. Then the Vegas one was there, but we were in the process of moving, so whatever. It's been on my bucket list for a while. I'll say that.
It's close.
But no. Like, look, there's a bunch of
30 minutes south, Joey. That's it.
Oh, that's amazing. No, there's a bunch of terrible teams in the NFL. I mean, we're a dumpster fire. Even if we lose out, honestly, like I still think there's going to be 4, 5, 6 teams ahead of us. To be perfectly honest with you,
I
still think Carolina's.
No Daniel.
No,
Dimes
but I mean and then you start looking at it and you're like, oh man, maybe we have, because we still have the Carolina Panthers 2nd round pick next year, so that could easily be anywhere between 33 to 36. Maybe the Chicago Bears. Maybe we have. You know, what is it? Maybe we have I'm bad at math, so forgive me. Maybe we have like 9, 36, and 44 or something like that. And they better all be beefy, strong, capable offensive linemen. Seriously, like Seth McLaughlin on the Ohio State Buckeyes, or you know, I don't know. I haven't done a lot of tape on the Wisconsin Badgers, but they always make good offensive linemen. I mean, we need beef. I don't want sex. I just want beef. Put it on my tombstone. That's what I want. That's what I want for the Chicago Bears next year.
You already know you got the skill guys, dude. You do need 100%. The interior.
Yeah,
that's it.
100%.
Yep.
You guys would pick 8th right now if the season ended right now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
And
give me
so
give me 7 Richie Incognitos. Honestly, like,
dude. I mean, tell you 8th, and then Carolinas. Ooh, you're cooking with gas right now, man.
right?
And your other
Right
second round pick, you could go
in theory,
1, 2, 3 in top 40 and just remake that whole room.
Yeah.
Top tackle, top center, maybe second or third guard off the board.
You get a movable guard, center, swing tackle.
You know,
Bang.
this is pretty
and then
sad
probably
we're talking
not
about
be
this
good
now.
again. I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, that's the Chicago Bears, buddy. It ain't fun. It ain't fun to talk about.
Through the season,
we put all
we're
this.
talking about the draft.
Well,
I mean,
this is par for the course for the Bears the last several years. So I mean, I'm gonna tell you.
Did you watch the Hard Knocks thing, preseason stuff?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I did not. I don't know if Ren did, but I have a couple people that did, and they were kind of commenting like, "Oh, you know, they seem good. They seem to get along. Eberflus, you know, like is like a coach's dude or a player's man. You know, like he's got it in with them. But is he too cool? Is he like just like I don't know, exuding just fakeness or something, or what's going on? Where do you sit with like where does Hard Knocks come into reality here?
Well, I mean, me and my wife, we watch Hard Knocks almost every year. I love watching it. Every time I watch Hard Knocks, I talk myself into being like, hey, this team could win 10 games. I mean, so I walked into that with eyes open on that one. You know, the really funny part, again, about the organization is that it was the first Hard Knocks show that did not feature any cursing at any point during the show. And about 4 episodes in, the company that I work for, CHO Sports, did a great job. They got the executive producer of the show on their show, and they asked her a pointed question. And she said, "Yeah, the McCaskies specifically asked as a condition of doing the show that they did not feature any cursing on the program." And I'm just saying that is, look, this is a microcosm of a larger issue with the Chicago Bears. I think the McCaskies.
That's all I can tell you.
Thank you. There we go. Cheers, buddy. I mean, honestly, though, but like, look, who did they had Dan Quinn in the room with them last year, and he walked out of there without an offer as a head coach. I'm not saying Dan Quinn is like the greatest coach on the planet. He's doing well in Washington right now, but it does illustrate that if you ever listen to Dan Quinn in a locker room, every other word is F this and F that, and he's a profanity-laced guy, and I love him for it because that's me too as well in life a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And I think the McCaskies get really weird. I think they're a weird family that blanches at anyone that may be threatening or maybe a little physically too much. And just look at the coaches that we've hired over the last several years, like Mark Trestman. You know what I mean? Nice guy, not threatening you in the alley anytime soon. Matt Nagy looks pretty good if you played in a foursome at golf on the golf course with him. Ryan Pace, pretty handsome. Ryan Poles, clean cut. Matt Eberflus, good, wholesome family man. I mean, this is the type of stuff that has nothing to do with football that has me up at night thinking why we're never going to get out of this. Because, excuse me, the Chicago Bears will never hire an asshole or an adult to coach the team. I'm going around town saying Mike Vrabel is an interesting choice to me. Kevin Stefanski, if he gets fired with the Browns. But the fact that the Chicago Bears fan base can't even consider the concept, I'm not saying hire him, but consider the concept of interviewing Bill Belichick, there's larger problems going on here. I'm not saying you hire him, but we didn't even consider Jim Harbaugh last year because he wants too much power. What a weird guy. Oh, my God. All he does is win football games. Oh, like he doesn't look good at the charity dinner. And that's what's going on around here, dude. And like there's a business aspect of this that has nothing to do with football that is holding this organization back. The Trace Armstrong thing, the McCaskey thing, why they won't hire an adult who maybe ruffles some feathers. They learned their lesson from Ditka decades ago, and they've never gone back since.
Joey, we got a pretty boy who gets his eyebrows done every week, and listen.
But he has a brain. He
he curses like a madman. He got fined for cursing 2 weeks ago. To the refs. It is what it is.
You can have both, I guess. You can have both.
You can do both. You can look good, and hey, I am all
passionate
for every passionate curse you could ever put out. I could just rain curse words on this show right now, and I'd love it.
He's going to do it again, Tay.
But it is what it is. So
I know it's just with Hard Knocks. It was you watch it and you're like, oh, that's a really weird thing to say and ask for. And as the season goes
Very
along, and
weird.
you're just kind of like looking at their hires, you're just kind of like, this is professional football. This is like the last bastion of Rome. These are gladiators, and like we talk all about them putting their bodies on the line. And like, look, I played football for like half a second and I quit because I knew deep in my body and my soul and my mind that I did not have the constitution to go 100 miles an hour every 30 seconds for 3 hours at a time. It takes a special
Smashing
human
another
being.
guy. Yeah,
It takes a special human being to play the game. It really, really does.
it does.
And sometimes, if it gets a little whatever course or a little TVMA, so be it. And the Bears ownership doesn't seem to be about that.
That's too bad. That's very insightful, Joey. That is very insightful, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that that's happening to you.
Packers fan just told me he's sorry for me.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God, I'm in hell. I am literally. I'm in hell.
Oh goodness. Well, Joey, we've kept you too long.
Yeah.
It's okay. I love you
wonderful
guys.
wife,
I love hanging with you guys.
Your wonderful wife who actually watches Hard Knocks with you. Keep her. You got a good one. Well done. So let's get to prediction point. Did the Packers win by 10 or more, or realistically by 15 or more, Joey? What do we got going on Sunday?
Yeah, I haven't picked the Green Bay. I haven't picked the Bears to beat the Packers since like 2019, so I'm not going off of that. I picked So I do a show here, radio show on WLS AM 890 Saturdays 8 to 9 p.m. for those listening in the Chicagoland area. If you ever want to tune in, I picked Packers 28, Bears 17. So I do see a double-digit victory for the Green Bay Packers. And honestly, 17 points, 2 touchdowns, and a field goal is a marked improvement from what I've seen from the Bears offense the last month.
Yeah.
I'm not talking myself into this one. And honestly, if the Bears somehow beat the Packers on Sunday, I'm not talking myself into the season is saved either. That just turns into an any given Sunday situation for me. So, yep, I think Packers by double digits.
Or hopefully again, not the longer Eberflus tenure. That's the thing.
Hey, you put a 50 burger on us and he gets fired. I guess we can shake hands on that one.
Yeah,
absolutely. So on that, I'll go 31-20 Pack.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably. I can see the Packers probably bouncing back a little bit. We haven't been firing on all cylinders either lately. We can't really, find all of our grooves all at once here. I think it's possible. Maybe it's possible this Sunday when we can all, everyone can play together. But yeah, I'm looking at 28-13. Let's say Bears.
Yeah.
Bears lose to the Packers. It's we could probably talk about this all night long, Joey. I don't want to, beat that horse to death too much here, but you got a lot of problems down there in Chicago. And I do, it does suck for you to be in that situation. But we really appreciate you coming on the show, and we hope to do this again, maybe this year again. If not, when we can line up and talk about those draft picks again, for you guys, that would be great too. But I didn't put this up before. I forgot to. But here's Joey's contact information. If you want to go find him on X, and he's on those entities on the bottom there. I know you mentioned those a couple times, but yeah, if you're listening in Chicago or that area, or if you happen to live in Wisconsin and
worldwide,
you like the Bears, yep, check Joey out. He's a fabulous sports commentator. You do know a lot, Joey. We really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your knowledge with us, because I did learn a few things today, so I do appreciate that. It just sucks that you're not in a position where we thought we were preseason, where I thought the Packers were going to come down to the Bears this week and lose coming out of the bye week. And, the Bears looked good in the first few weeks, but that just isn't happening anymore. So,
yeah,
I'm sorry, man.
I think today, before we let Joey go, I think that was an L for both of us initially.
It was.
The Bears were going to finally get one in the, LaFleur era where they're going to get a win, and I don't think the same anymore. So.
I wish I could come on and make a compelling case, and we can have a rousing, sword fight over who was going to win this game. But yeah, no, I just came over and just spilled my soul out. But yeah, no, guys, I love coming on, man. I love seeing you guys. We talk off the show too as well. Can't wait to get together in person and do it for the real thing. Sometime soon. I'm happy to come back anytime. We play each other again. If you ever want to just talk about Lions, Packers, or whatever, I'm game for it. And anyone listening to as well, obviously, everyone knows I do a lot of stuff in Chicago and everything. But if you are interested at all, please go on YouTube, follow all Big Ten podcasts, all city. We have a big blue emblem. You'll see it on there. Click on there. I have former Wisconsin Badgers like James White, and Jordan Shelton, Warren Herring all the time. I have guys like Anthony Herron on there. I host with former Bears defensive end Corey Wooten. So no, I mean we're talking Midwest stuff all the time. Definitely Badgers football, especially with Oregon coming up this weekend.
Huge.
Huge game. So yeah, definitely check me out there. And guys, it's great to see you.
Oh, great to see you, Joey. And hey, if you get up to Northeast Wisconsin for the draft, we'd love to host you and show you a good time. So
let's do it with the number 1 pick. The Chicago Bears select
anybody, a quarterback.
An offensive lineman. They trade down, get 2 more picks, and now they got a whole.
Now
new
we're
line.
talking, Ren.
A whole new
line.
A whole new line for 2025.
All right, Joey. Thanks a lot. We will talk to you very soon. Okay.
You guys are the best. See ya.
Appreciate it, Joey. Thank you.
All right, Ren. Joey, the Bears fan, our contact from south of the border.
Joey's
I love some of his insight, man. That was awesome.
Great. It's very insightful. You get a lot of real information with regard to the back ends of the Bears organization, what's going on down there. It sounds like they really need to change. They got to focus on protecting Kale a little bit better and hopefully get a new administration. But I wanted to finish up with you, being that it was the bye week we just went through. Obviously, the Packers came out 6-3, which is a lot better than last year at 3-6. And how we feel the last 8 games of the season will play out. I'm going to say the Packers, of those last 8 games, will win 5. So ultimately, that will place them at 11-7, or 11-6. That gets us a 17 if I can count. With a win coming up against the Chicago Bears. I'm going to say, hey, against the Niners, unfortunately, they lose that one in Green Bay. They're going to come back on Thanksgiving night, beat the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
They're going to then go out to Seattle and lose one. That's loss number 2. It's a long road trip. They're going to come back home to Green Bay, win against the Saints. And then they're going to go out to Minnesota, beat the Vikings, a little revenge. I didn't mix in the Lions game I missed. That's the other loss there. And they will end the season with a win against the Bears on the aforementioned conversation with Joey there. So they end again 11-6. They end up as a wild card in the playoffs, do not win the division. How do you see the last 8 games going for the Green Bay Packers today?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right on most of that. I think it's going to be a prayer that they win the division, in this tough one that we are in. Obviously, the Bears are faltering now, and they're not going to be up there to contend with that at all. So it's really up to the 3 teams now. And the Vikings, it's like, what are they going to be? Are they for real or not? Are they going to crumble like they usually do, which is what my guess would be. So then you're down to 2. And honestly, if you lose again to the Lions, you just can't win the division. It's pretty impossible. So I think you're right with that. The Packers, though, for me, though, right now it's strange. I feel like this will be a bounce back game against the Bears, but at the same time, it's like we don't see the full team in action together on the same page. Everyone, doing their thing. Maybe the Texans was that game. I don't know, but we just haven't been all on it at the same time. So I don't know what this team can do, what they can look like week in, week out. They're capable of it. I know they are. And 100%. when we see that finally, it's going to be awesome. And I hope that
looking forward
eventually
to it,
comes. And just like last year, right? That's what happened. We started, putting 2 and 2 together. and then now you're starting to dominate. So can that happen this year? I hope so. Obviously, they win in Chicago. I think they win at home against San Fran. I think they win in Miami. They lose in
Green
Detroit.
Bay, Thanksgiving night.
Yeah, that's a win. Detroit's a loss. At Seattle, I could see that being like the toss-up game. That could be like a trap game for them.
Long road trip, man.
Yeah, and then at home against New Orleans, I think they got that. So yeah. I'm going to say Seattle loss, Detroit loss, Minnesota loss at Minnesota, and the second to last game, and then they obviously win at Chicago. So I'm also taking 3 losses here. So yeah, I think it's definitely doable. It looks good, right? It looks fortuitous that this team can get better and that they can put things together where they can start winning more consistently and being a threat to the Lions, although they won't eventually be able to topple them for the NFC North division. But whatever. I mean, you're talking, I think the Packers in the end of it, if they even make a wild card, can still be one of the top 3 teams in the NFC, like ranked.
100%. I think the Packers in that position would be the most dangerous team. Listen, they can beat the Lions. We even saw that in that rainy episode in Green Bay. Like, hey, they can play with that team. It's just up to them if they want to play a full game. With all compliments, working from all sides of the football, not making stupid choices like Jordan did on that back across his body throw, leading the pick 6. They can beat the Lions. They can. They beat it, in a few weeks in Detroit. I believe they follow up the Thanksgiving night game a week later, also on a Thursday Night Football. That's where I lost that one. They can beat Detroit. They really can. But it comes down to something we haven't seen all season, and that is this football team to play complementary football in all phases from start to finish in a 60-minute game. And you're right. They haven't done that. They're good, but how good are they?
Yeah. Yep. And you're right. There's a 4-game in a row period there where we're playing at 7:00.
Yep.
And I don't think that's necessarily an issue if you are Matt LaFleur and you regiment and you have your schedule and you start, you do things the same every week. Then I don't think that could be an issue. But I think when you start throwing in like Thursday games and stuff, it can get a little strange with the players on their routine. I think that is a big thing. So we'll see if that is a problem for the Packers going 4 weeks in a row at night at 7:00. So the last 2 games of the season will be at noon. Of course, the Chicago Bears will be noon. Here in Lambeau, they're not going to flex that. There's no need to at that point do that. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think it starts this week in Chicago. Where they're going to get a win, and it's just going to happen. Like they'd have to implode themselves, greater than the Bears, to lose this game coming up. So expectation is absolutely 100% the Packers win this game, and if they don't, it's something's wrong.
Tay, before we jump off, do you know what the line is?
I think I did see it. Well, I just scrolling through stuff, preparing whatever. It's like what 6.5 for the Pack down there.
Yeah. In Chicago, yeah.
Oof, that sucks.
Tells you the dumpster fire that is. And again, I did listen to, Bears podcast before we got on tonight with Joey, and man, they were so upset that Eberflus is so lackadaisical. He couldn't make a decision, even though he's going to make a decision on Monday. And they're wondering if they're even game planning for the Packers at that point. They can't even figure out if they're firing their offensive coordinator, which they ultimately did.
Yeah.
And are you wasting another day and a half? Now you got to implement a new guy. Good luck, Chicago. If the Packers lose, coming off a bye, man, it'll be very loud here next week in Green Bay.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Everyone out there in Packer Universe land, thank you very much for watching, listening, subscribing, all that stuff. Go follow Joey if you really want your finger on the pulse down there at the Bears, in the Bears side of things, south of the border there. Joey was great. Thank you again for coming on the show. We love having you on, and we will continue to do so in the future. You're a great guest, so thank you again.
We love Joey Tay. What a great dude, and he's just fun. We have so much fun. He puts a smile on our face. Just listen to him. Like he said, he tweeted us before he even got on. He was going to be like a rabid raccoon. He's just feeling it, man. They're in the throes of all those emotions down in Chicagoland, and it was a beautiful thing.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening, watching, and subscribing. We'll see you soon.
Until next time, Tay, on the pup list.